So hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I would like to share some of my research that I have done. This was 2 years ago, and now I'm also doing a new grant that includes some of this information. So I saw that it really worked very well in Philadelphia. And now I would like to take this research and then bring it here to Delaware. I'm from Philadelphia, and now I work here in Delaware, and now I moved here to Delaware. And so I would like to bring what I have learned from Temple University's grant that I received for this particular project, and I would like to bring it here. So I'm going to start my timer so I can stay on point, and hopefully we won't have any problems. Okay, so encouraging nonviolent behaviors of youth is what I named it. And so, just a quick introduction. My name is Dr. Michelle Ratcliff. I am a social worker. I have a little over about 25 years of social work experience in child welfare, schools, shelters in Philadelphia, PA. Currently, well, now I'm an associate professor at Delaware State, and I'm in the social work department. I am a therapist with a nonprofit. I do summer camps. I do like pretty much everything. Because I'm a social worker, we pretty much have our hands in everything. So, this workshop is basically about the results of my work completed by the RECAST. Grant is Resiliency in Communities After Stress and Trauma. It's a grant funded by SAMHSA in collaboration with Temple University in Philadelphia, PA. The grant, I named it, the initiative was Be Well Philly. I wanted Philadelphians to be well. And so it says a youth prevention program, youth violence prevention initiative. And the purpose of this project was to facilitate healing and wellness to underserved communities with already exhausted mental health resources and mitigate the effects of gun violence on children and youth by providing an outlet for youth to express their needs and concerns that affect their safety. So I have a whole lot of information and I really want to just get through it. So hopefully I can in the 10 minutes, but I'll also just stick around for questions afterwards, or you can email me and I'll put my email up later on. So encouraging nonviolence in youth. So this workshop was basically about my data results of the Be Well Philly initiative. It's a youth violence prevention program located in Philadelphia for ages 13 to 17 years of age. 90% of the youth at the end, and we only had 32 participants. Well, not only, but we had 32 participants. They felt that the workshops, the outlets, and the facilitated conversations about the impact of violence help them in making more positive, nonviolent choices in the future. So we'll talk about that. So youth violence defined. What is youth violence? So that is the intentional use of physical force or power to threaten or harm others by young people ages 10 to 24. It can include fighting, bullying, threats with weapons, gang rape, related violence. A young person can be involved with youth violence as a victim, offender, or witness. Gun violence and violent behavior of youth in inner cities have increasingly become a phenomenon that negatively affects organizational climate, community safety, students' educational experiences, and the quality of life. So, in stats, listening to our stats and looking at our stats. So, firearm homicide is a leading cause of injury death in the United States. Currently, in the United States, children and youth are exposed to gun violence daily in schools, neighborhoods, homes, and social media. And per the CDC, in 2020, 92.3% of the total homicides of youth in the United States ages 15 to 24 occurred due to firearms. And then you can read the rest of the statistics, but it's alarming that almost 100 people die each day in the United States from gun violence. And then youth, they are getting younger with the possession of firearms and are committing crimes in broad daylight now. In a recent study conducted by Simon et al., suggests that a substantial proportion of high school students carry guns, especially those who have experienced violence, who have substance abuse issues, or who have engaged in suicidal attempts. So my hypothesis of this study and this particular project, I hypothesize that if youth are involved in activities and conversations about violence and its origins, then they are better equipped to make they're better equipped to make decisions to participate in nonviolent behavior in the future. So Because it was in Philadelphia, I wanted to talk about what is going on in Philly, actually. So, Philly, of course, is the city of brotherly love. It's a beautiful city, bursting with diversity, rich in history, culture, camaraderie, team sportsmanship, go Eagles, great food, and great talent. But there are some ongoing battles, such as impersonal violence. That's a major contributor to morbidity and mortality among our adolescents. So the city is divided into six large sections: north, northeast, southwest, and northwest and southwest Philadelphia. Much like how Delaware is split up into three counties, Philadelphia is it's just like all of Delaware, but how it's split up into different neighborhoods and sections. So in Philadelphia, according to data from the Philadelphia Police Department, the number of young people who were shot from gun violence increased from 212 people in 2021 to 217 people in 2022. I also have 2023 statistics where were 923 non-fatal and 251 fatal shooting victims, a 21% increase from 22. And there have been 25 fatal shootings and 163 non-fatal shootings of youth per the Office of Controller in the city of Philadelphia. And then in 2024, when I first presented this information, 30 youth have been shot in Philadelphia. And that was only the first quarter of 2024. So as of March 26, 2024, there were already 30 youth who have been shot. So here's our 2024 statistics. And so by the time I went back into my studies and then found out some more information, 67 shootings of adolescents. So it just kept growing. Each time I presented this or each time I went into statistics, the numbers just kept growing. And as you can see from this quick diagram that I put on here, that males are 88% associated with these shootings, and then females are 8%, well, 12%. So let's think about it. Where's all of this tension or this drama and this trauma coming from? We think about ACE, and I know most of you already know about ACE and ACE exposure. But in recent years, research has identified adolescent delinquency as an important negative repercussion of greater ACE exposure, highlighting the importance of ACE's prevention programs, proactive screening, and early childhood interventions. So ACE's Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, I know you all are familiar with it, so I'm just not going to go into it, but we know that is the largest investigation of childhood abuse and neglect and household challenges in later life health and well-being. So ACEs explained, when you think about it, we are really just screening children to see what their emotional stressors are and how it is impacting their health. So in trauma-focused interventions, we're asking the question, instead of saying what is wrong with them, because now we're thinking about all the shooting and the violence, what is wrong with them? But instead we're asking what happened to them. And so with the Be Well Philly program, we provided 60-minute trauma-informed workshops. They were held bi-weekly with youth ages 13 to 17 years of age, and it was for 2 hours. We talked about, and we discussed introduction to trauma, mental health, identifying triggers, understanding emotions, and presenting this information to the youth. It gave them an opportunity to have an open discussion on the origins of violence, allowing opportunities for a change of perceptions, understanding former participation in past violent behaviors, and learn how to use tools acquired from the workshops to have positive, nonviolent outcomes. So here's our participants. We had 32 teenagers, ages 13 to 17. Primarily, they were high schoolers. Primarily, they were female. We did have some men, some young men, and we did have some middle schoolers. And they were all from the southwest and west parts of Philadelphia, in those particular communities. So in the survey that we provided at the end, we asked them, how frequently do you hear about violence in school, community, or work? Actually, we did a pre and post test. And from the pre-test, they said daily. Most of them said daily. And then some said often, some said sometimes, as you can see from the graph, what the numbers are. But we wanted to know how frequently they actually hear about violence in their school, community, or work. And then we asked another question: how often do you commit these particular violent acts, such as fighting, shooting, stabbing, or stealing? And as you can see, once we put whether or not it was once, more than 3 times, or none. And so most students said once, some said more than 3 times, but then a whole handful of them said none, which was really good. So from the results, presenting this information for these students, for these young people, 90% of the youth from the surveys that we provided at the end, they felt that the workshops, the outlets, and facilitated conversations about the impact of violence helped them in making more positive, non-violent choices in the future. So we felt like this was a win-win. And so that's why I wanted to, oh, that's my timer. So that's why we wanted to bring this information here to Dover, and possibly use this information to implement in particular programs for Dover and for Wilmington, which are really the hot spots when we're thinking about violence of youth. So we want to make sure that this information is available for students. So I did just now do a new grant for that. I also have the MRDA grant, and that's where I'm supposed to be getting my mentoring, and I am getting mentoring so that I can produce another grant so that we can do this again. So that's pretty much it with us. Our objectives really was, my objective really is to just allow people to understand the importance in incorporating youth in inner cities and the problem-solving decisions that affect their communities, and help with participants changing their perceptions regarding the outcomes of youth behaviors and violence, and also to increase the programming for youth in inner cities and communities where a cycle of violence is perpetuated. And that's pretty much it. My name is Dr. Michelle Ratcliff. I'm from Delaware State University. And if you need to speak with me or you want to talk to me more in depth about this particular project, my email is mratcliff@desu.edu. I'll put it in the chat also. Thank you.